Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special edition of Robyn Nelson's Wrestle Popcast. My name is David Stockwell with DemoBlastStudios.com. Today I am joined by the mastermind behind the chaos. You hear a certain song in the background, it's Iron Man. Happens to be the theme song for the greatest tag team in professional wrestling history, the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. I am joined by the man who put that team together, precious Paul Ellering. Mr. Ellering, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, it's a pleasure and opportunity to be here with a great-looking crowd and get to meet a lot of the Road Warriors fans.
Absolutely, some of the most loyal fans in pro wrestling history, for sure, are the Road Warriors. Robyn and I just recently spoke with Animal. I brought you up in conversation. Animal had some great things to say about the sessions, sitting at different Waffle Houses, and you basically mapping out what exactly they needed to do to make it in professional wrestling. When the Road Warriors first formed, they were a part of a larger faction called the Legion of Doom, which was Road Warrior Hawk, Animal, yourself, and Jake Roberts. Talk, if you would, to our audience a little about that particular time and your interactions with Jake the Snake Roberts.
Well, it was early days of Georgia Championship Wrestling, and they needed a manager. I had suffered a knee injury, so I was taken aback a little bit, and Ole Anderson was actually booking at the time. He says, "You know, you're really good on the mic. You ever think about managing?" And I go, "Well, not really, but I'll give it a try." So I did, and the rest of it just snowballed. It took off. I was the leader of the Legion of Doom, but it was the guys that made up the Legion of Doom. They were the talent, and they carried the ball, and all I had to do is be the whistle on the train. You know, that's what I was, just the whistle of their train. Jake the Snake was a tremendous, talented wrestler in his own right, and of course we all know what the Road Warriors ended up doing, being by many people always the greatest tag team of all time. And I managed also Buzz Sawyer at that time, and we had the first, what they called the Hell in the Cell match at the Omni back then. And I think the Spoiler, he was with us too for a while, and even King Kong Bundy was with us for a while. Yep,
absolutely. You know, I just watched the promo when they first introduced you into the WWF. The Road Warriors had already been brought up as the Legion of Doom. They brought you in later. It was that promo when you're in the street, and you talked about being the detail man. And I love that, because that really encapsulates everything that you brought to the table, is that you took care of the finite details. One of the things that you're heralded for, in addition to being a great interview, great on-screen presence, is the fact that many have said that you helped manage the Road Warriors behind the scenes. Is this true? And if so, you know, to what extent were you involved on the business side of basically making the Road Warriors a household name?
Well, in the early 80s, the Legion of Doom was the big group. But then in about 84, 85, when the business was starting to transition to cable TV and the WWF against the NWA, and people were picking and choosing sides, then I told the guys, I said, we can work out our own deal. You have to do what I say, and you guys do what you do best, and that's go in the ring and beat people up. And we can call our own shots. And we did. We left the NWA, but we still worked with them. We didn't burn any bridges. And we set up a deal in Japan, and we worked with the AWA out of Minneapolis and the NWA. And then we'd go to Texas and work for the Von Erichs. We'd go to Puerto Rico. We went all over the world booking ourselves like Andre the Giant. We were an attraction. But we also had talent in the ring, which Andre did too, for that matter. But we became an attraction because of the cable TV. we weren't just in one region or one area. The people all over the United States would see us, and they wanted to see more.
As a young fan growing up in upstate New York, one of the first things before I had access to cable TV was following pro wrestling through the different magazines at the grocery store, and the images of the Road Warriors on the covers of magazines were enough to just completely capture my imagination. For fans that weren't privy to, experiencing that time frame firsthand, the Road Warriors were every bit as popular at one point as Hulk Hogan was to singles wrestling. I fully believe that. Within your career, obviously best known as the manager of the Road Warriors, you had talked, just a little earlier about originally being someone that when you were approached with being a manager, you were a little questioned about it. But before that, you had a great career as a singles wrestler yourself, a powerlifting background. You got into pro wrestling, a great talker at that point. Memphis was a huge area for you. If you would, talk to our audience a little about your time in Memphis and possibly some influence of Jimmy Hart as your manager that would later lead into you managing as well.
Yeah, well, it was there. I was in the right place at the right time because Lawler got his leg broke, and it created a void. And as with all opportunities, the number one thing, and I tell young guys all the time, I say, be prepared. Be prepared for when that day comes and it's your time to shine. Because if you're not prepared, you've lost that opportunity and it's gone forever. So Lawler broke his leg and I got my opportunity, and it was my first really big run at being main event type guy. And I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot from Jimmy. He's has a tremendous mind for the business and for promotion. And it was a good time in my life, and I learned a lot of good lessons from life with that.
Speaking about being ready to take advantage of opportunity, recently you spent some time in WWE's developmental area, NXT, working with the Authors of Pain, but I'm sure you got a first-hand look at the facility and how they're going about creating the stars of tomorrow. From you being there firsthand, how do you feel about their program, the way that they're cultivating new talent? How do you think that the future of pro wrestling looks, the health of it right now today?
Well, their facilities are state-of-the-art, and the way they help the talent and develop them, they're on the cutting edge of what's going to be happening for the future of our business. And you really have to give the WWE the credit to have the vision, and Triple H to put this all together and make it such a viable thing that we need.